correct.
Hopefully never again, says Director of Communications for the Parliament, Colleen Holder. The former journalist, who was only 16 years old at the time, like many others, remembers exactly where she was when the attempted coup of 1990 took place. She spent the night at a friend's house and didn't make her way home until the following morning.
And it was a very frightening time. That's what I could definitely remember. We got home safely, thankfully. No one in my family was injured, and it was a terrifying time for all of us. We were very young, never experienced anything like this before, and hopefully we'll never experience anything like that again.
Other was the Chief Technical Officer at Radio Trinidad, and he, along with other members of staff, were held hostage until his daring escape 3 days later.
The Muslimin went back over to TTC, and when the guys at Radio Trinidad realized that they had been abandoned, that's when they climbed over a wall somewhere at the back of, onto another street, climbed onto somebody's roof. And I think the police saw them coming out and stopped them and were wondering whether or not they were Muslimin as well.
The nation has not healed from the trauma of 33 years ago, and the amnesty given to those involved in the coup left a feeling of injustice and never a day of reckoning. Although Holder does not trace her career path to journalism to the attempted coup, it has kept her grounded, observant and inquisitive. Colleen Holder appeared on Rise and Shine on Tobago, Channel 5. And Chief Secretary Fali Augustine recognized former President and Prime Minister Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson for protecting this country's democracy during the 1990 attempted coup. Speaking at a wreath-laying ceremony on July 27th, Augustine says because of Robinson's efforts, Trinidad and Tobago enjoys a strong democracy.
Notwithstanding a new nation birthed in 1962, at 1990 had to struggle with its democracy being challenged. And in our darkest hour, a Tobagonian decided that he would stand up strong on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And today we stand here in his memory, in the memory of all those who died, in the memory of those who were injured, in the memory of our protective servicemen and women who fought to ensure that our democracy stayed alive.
He also expressed his gratitude for democracy in Tobago. Both him and Chief Administrator Denise Toby Kwashi laid wreaths at the eternal flame erected in memory of those who served.
At this time in our history, our political history, where it may appear as if our democracy is again being challenged, and the right of the people to select the leaders and that whole thing is being challenged, we stand firm at this spot of the eternal flame from Tobago to say that we recognize what it took to keep this democracy alive. We will do all that is necessary to maintain parliamentary democracy on the island of Tobago and by extension Trinidad and Tobago.
Also present at the event at James Park were Assemblyman Dr. Faith B. Israel, Zarisha Hackett, and other members of the THA administration. 33 years ago, on July 27, 1990, more than 100 members of the Jamaat al-Muslimin stormed the parliament and state-owned television station TTT. Everyone, including then Prime Minister Robinson, were held hostage. A state of emergency was imposed due to looting, and the incident resulted in the death of 24 persons and many others were injured. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced that there will be no public holiday to mark World Steel Pan Day on August 11th. He made the statement in a July 27th tele-interview.
What I hope we'll do is to use the occasion to highlight participation. We can use the day to bring people without a holiday. A holiday is very costly, you know.
Okay.
So, but pan events on that day.
Yes.
We now should use that as to bring the pan to another level and to invite people who are not now pan fanatics.
July 27th, 193 United Nations members voted in support of declaring August 11th World Steel Pan Day. The draft resolution put forward by Trinidad and Tobago was co-sponsored by many other countries. It means that from this year, World Steel Pan Day will form part of the UN's annual calendar of events. Well, hours after the Council for Responsible Political Behavior called out the People's National Movement and its leader, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, for breaking the political code of conduct, Dr. Rowley, in a comment on his Facebook page, said, quote, "An ethical council without ethics and steeped in bias is to be ignored," end quote. Within hours of posting the comment, Dr. Rowley's statement drew close to 600 approving emojis. Over 100 people commented. Some lauded the PM's comment with comments encouraging him to ignore the council, and one person wrote that they totally and unequivocally agreed with him. Others, with profiles purporting to be those of former opposition United National Congress senators, also responded. The persons behind the profile of Lindira Udit said, quote, "No, sir, with all due respect, that council was formed in 2013. All political parties are signatories," end quote. On July 25th, the council examined 2 UNC complaints against Dr. Rowley and the PNM and concluded that the code of conduct signed was broken. The ethical political conduct was formulated by religious bodies and NGOs. The council is chaired by Dr. Bishnu Raghunath. Other members are Dr. Easton McKenzie, Ralph Peter, Leela Ramdeen, Imam Imitiaz Ali, Dr. Beverly Beckles, Dr. Gabriel Hussain, Dr. Olabisi Kubuni, and Reverend Professor Carlisle Pemberton. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Council for Responsible Political Behavior, Dr. Bishnu Raghunath, is questioning Dr. Rowley's criteria for calling the council members biased.
The Prime Minister is entitled to his opinion that whether the council is biased or not. My question to him, and in raising such a concern, is simply on what basis have we been accused of being biased? Is it simply because we discussed 2 complaints against him and the PNM and found that in both instances, the PNM as well as his speech was left wanted?
Dr. Raghunath is concerned that Dr. Rowley is casting aspersions on council members' integrity without evidence.
My greater concern would be the attack on the integrity and ethics of not only myself, but all the members of council. These are all upstanding members in our community, in our society, who have proven themselves with regard to their ethics and integrity. And by chastising all of us and castigating all of us as being an unethical committee or a committee without ethics leaves us to wonder is it that only PNM people who speak in favor of the PNM would be deemed to be ethical.
Asked about recourse to protect their names, he says the public will decide.
In fact, I think, but what he has done is that he has sent an even bigger message to the electorate at large, because he is simply saying that if anybody disagrees with him, they are without ethics and they are biased.
Dr. Raghunath does not believe that an apology is necessary from the Prime Minister for his statement. Stay tuned. Welcome back. On Monday, July 31st, the 2023 Tobago Heritage Festivals rolls into Black Rock for the Sea and Pan Festival. According to President of the Black Rock Village Council, Larry Paul, this year's festival will bring a renewed emphasis on Pan and usher in the celebration of Pan Month in August.
They decided to put into the festival a dedicated evening of Pan to the Pan Festival. So however, you're going to still have your wake-up call, where we start in the morning at 6 o'clock with the rituals at the Forward Junction, following the tradition of long ago. Then we go up into the, of course, to the Heritage Park, where you have your boat christening and scene hanging as well as the other activities.
Okay.
But the evening production is replaced by the Pan Festival.
Excellent. All right.
Head of Pan Tobago Division, Brian Thomas, says Pan Tobago is proud to be part of the Heritage Festival.
Night before the holiday, and you know it's going to be a spectacular night. So these bands that will be performing are Natural Mystics, Metro Stars, Our Boys, Plymouth Bethesda Steel Sensation, NLCB Buccaneers, Alpha Pan Pioneers, NGC Steel Explosion, and Cats and Jammers. Of course, you have to get Cats and Jammers in your home yard.
Surrounding the Black Rock Sea Festival include an invitation to the ancestors to attend the traditional boat christening and hanging of the saint ceremony. This month's Pan celebration will include the United Nations declaration that August 11th will be World Steel Pan Day. Larry Paul and Brian Thomas appeared on Rise and Shine on Tobago Channel 5. But before the festival on Monday, all roads lead to Moriah tomorrow, July 29th, for the Moriah Old Time Wedding Ceremony, one of the crown jewels of the Tobago Heritage Festival. The ceremony highlights wedding ceremonies of the past and their traditions. But tonight is the Rum Shop Lime offering of the 2023 Heritage Festival in Scarborough, and Maxwell Taylor is on site to give us an update.
We're here at the Scarborough Esplanade, where the Rum Shop Lime is in full effect. The first phase is bar hopping through the capital, And then phase 2 is right here at the Rotunda at the Esplanade tonight. We'll be having some mesmerizing cultural performances. We have some steel band music coming to you, and we have a big birthday bash for Lord Nelson. And we're inviting all card players down to come down, enjoy the festivities, and win some prizes. Tomorrow, the Heritage Festival moves into Moriah for the old-time wedding, a star on the Heritage calendar stage. And on Sunday, it's Speyside, the Harvest Experience. On Monday, we move to Black Rock Village for the Sea and Pan Festival, where the emphasis will be on Pan, because August is designated as Steel Band Month, and August 11th has been recently approved as from the UN as Steel Pan World Day. On Tuesday, the festival moves to Crown Point, where there'll be a parade to conclude the Heritage Festival, and it still remains Tobago premier cultural event on the calendar, and that's Emancipation Day. And it's back to you in the studio.
Festivities. We go now to our international feature for this evening.
The streets of Israel were soaked in anger. Moments after one of the most contested laws in the country's history was passed. Anti-government protesters were being blasted with water cannon, and the rage towards Mr. Netanyahu, or Bibi, was boiling over.
This is my country, and Bibi kidnapped our citizen, and it's not supposed to be. We need to be here. I serve in the army. I have 3 little boys, and I want to continue to stay in my country.
And outside the Israeli parliament, a showdown. Today's vote, they said, was a red line.
These protesters had said they would stay put and block the route to the Knesset, and now they're trying to prove it. The security forces using a van. These are unprecedented scenes.
The Israeli leader has just had surgery to fit a pacemaker. He appeared amid the increasingly fraught atmosphere. The opposition shouted shame as the critical vote neared, and they walked out, claiming historic changes were being rammed through, opening a door to dictatorship.
There is no prime minister in Israel. Netanyahu has become a puppet on the strings of messianic extremists.
But tonight, Mr. Netanyahu dismissed his critics.
Today we carried out a required democratic move. The move was aimed at restoring a degree of balance between the branches of government, which we had for 50 years.
But with the protests set to intensify, the mood is one of deepening crisis. There is escalating violence in the region, the absence of any political horizon in the wider conflict, and Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories. Now, anti-government dissent is spreading into the security establishment, and Israel's internal divisions have rarely felt this severe. Tom Bateman, BBC News, Jerusalem.
The weather forecast when we return. Stay tuned. cloudy intervals with showers in some areas and a medium 60% chance of isolated thunderstorms. Showers and isolated thunderstorms possible due to the passage of tropical waves. Tomorrow, long settled periods will at times be interrupted by scattered showers. There's a medium 40% chance that these showers will become heavy and or thundery in a few areas. Seas slight to moderate. Winds northeast to east-southeast 5 to 35 kilometers per hour. Waves up to 1.5 meters in open waters and below 1 meter in sheltered areas. High tide at 1:32 p.m. Low tides at 7:07 a.m. and 6:27 p.m. The sun will rise at 5:50 and set at 6:28. Tomorrow's temperatures should reach a maximum of 30 degrees Celsius and fall to 25 degrees Celsius. Let's recap our headlines. Chief Secretary questions Prime Minister's pre-action protocol letter to whistleblower. Child of July 1990 attempted coup survivor hopes event will never recur. And the 2023 Heritage Festival continues tonight and into the weekend. Well, that does it for us tonight at the Channel 5 News Desk. Thank you so much for staying with us. From all of us here, have a pleasant night and a great weekend.